Hello and welcome to the Death Battle cast, the cast where Liam always makes very strange faces as soon as we turn on the cameras. I really don't know what he's doing. This is very problematic. Let's just cut away from Liam for now.
Delete me.
Welcome to the show. Today we have a very special guest joining Liam, myself, and Chad. We have Evan Pushak, who you may know as Nerdwriter. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
There.
This is a pleasure.
Of course. We're always down to talk about nerdy stuff with other people who like to talk about nerdy stuff.
Yes.
Likewise.
You have run a YouTube channel for a number of years now, among other things, but you have something special happening right now. So for people who are tuning in who don't know who you are, or what's going on with you, give them the lowdown. What's going on?
So I am a YouTuber, and I've been making my show, The Nerdwriter, for 11 years now. It's a video essay show on art and culture and really whatever I'm interested in. 7 to 10 minute video deep dives on some subject. But as of last week, 1 week ago, my first book of essays, which I happen to have right here, Escape into Meaning.
How convenient!
Congratulations.
Is been published. It's out. It's essays, like it says here, on Superman, public benches, on other obsessions. It's essentially a lot like the show. Deep dives into the things I'm interested in. Some are really nerdy things that I'm obsessed with, like Superman or Lord of the Rings or Cyberpunk. And there are things that are not nerdy, but still obsessed with, like politics and Ralph Waldo Emerson and public benches. But to me, it's all that's kind of all the same. the laser beam, the heat vision of my obsession, once it like locks on something, I just can't sort of let it go. And I was so privileged to get a chance to just explore these things in the book. I mean, that's the advantage of I think all of our jobs. We just get to sort of really dive into the things that we love, and it's a job, which is
a couple of my favorite videos of yours that I remember were the how politicians use language. Like you did an analysis of a speech, a sort of speech improvised monologue that Bernie gave and one that Trump gave, and in two separate videos, and kind of analyzed like what the cadence they used, the grammar that they used, and what all of that conveyed. And that was genuinely super fascinating. I also loved a lot of the I think you did one on Goya a while back that I remember really enjoying.
That's one of my favorites. Saturn devouring his son. If you've ever seen that painting, it's like I call it the most disturbing painting. He's like biting the head off his son. It is intense.
For sure.
And
anybody watch?
It's made more intense.
Anybody watching live or watching the VOD, you should open up another tab right now.
Yeah,
and then search Nerdwriter, and then go subscribe to his YouTube channel. And then also, I'm sure there'll be a link somewhere to buy the book.
Yes,
it's on Amazon, right?
I think I talked over the name. The name is Escape into Meaning. it is for purchase right now. There it is.
You don't need an image.
We're very excited to have you on, Evan, to talk about Superman of all characters. Now, Death Battle.
Never a hot topic on this channel. No.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a history with Superman here. I don't know if you know. Typically when we bring him up, everybody's just totally calm and excited to chat about everyone's favorite original superhero. No controversy whatsoever.
The air pressure around the Earth changes by the amount of buttholes clenching. This channel
when we bring up Superman versus. Yeah. So everybody, you can be happy to know that we are not doing a Superman versus someone community death battle today. Yeah. So you can unclench those buttholes. Instead, what we are going to be doing is we're going to be talking about a bunch of Superman variants, stories, ideas behind the character, because Superman's been around for so freaking long. All of us have, I think, favorite Superman stories, or maybe even favorite iterations of Superman. But ultimately, what we're kind of leading to here is each of us, between Liam, Chad, and myself, have sort of we have some information on some random Superman stories, some of which are fun and lighthearted, and others get really existential. And we're gonna kind of talk about them a little bit, go over what makes that Superman interesting to us, and then at the end of the show, we are gonna do a poll based on you guys to decide which Superman is. I'm still not entirely sure which direction we're gonna go here. Either the best of the Superman or the weirdest one. I think we're gonna figure that out as we go through some of these stories.
Or perhaps both at the same time.
It's
maybe it'll be both.
It's a journey. It's like a Desk of Death Battle cast, where we're just going to talk about some strange iterations of Superman.
Yeah.
Get all of our opinions on these versions of Superman. Like, let's start a little easy. At least I think this one's a little easy compared to some of the other ones. Liam, you looked into Red Sun Superman, right?
I was glad because that's the one that I wanted to talk about first. Yes.
Who is that one? Who is that Superman?
Let's bring up, Brian, Image 9, just to give people an idea of what we're talking about, what we mean when we say Red Sun. This is one of those puns. You got a red sun like the sun, but also Red Sun, the sun, the child, referencing
Soviet Russia.
the red Soviet Russia. That sounded like I was having an aneurysm as I was speaking, but I promise it made sense to some degree. So Red Sun Superman is like an Elseworld story. It's one of the best comics I think DC has produced. I think it's amazing. And it is essentially a story of what if Superman landed on Earth 12 hours either before or after he does in the original timeline. And of course, why does that matter? Well, if you arrive earlier or later, the planet has rotated, and you are 12 hours essentially away from Kansas, which, according to the comic, is the middle of Ukraine in 1938, which means that he is raised by Ukrainian farmers, and instead of being associated with Americana in the United States, he is associated with Soviet Russia. He is a citizen of Soviet Russia and becomes a superhero under the hammer and sickle. And
this is the Soviet Union era, not
Soviet Union. Yeah. We see a lot of Soviet era people, characters. Actually, I think
he lands in 53.
He lands. Well, I think it depends on the adaptation.
What's so funny about
I have says 1938.
What's so funny about this one is there's been a couple of these stories, because there's one that, like, where Superman landed in the UK. Right, and there's like a couple of these, but this one was so, like, especially from like the way back, like, anti-war propaganda Superman, like, this one was really turning it on its head.
Yeah,
dude. There are so many places Superman has landed in the 100 years he's existed. Like, they've gone to that well a number of times.
There's Nazi Germany Superman, who I think is called Overman. This one, the point of this is not like this is a great comic. It came out in like the early 2000s, I believe. And it's like, the point of it is not what if Superman was a Soviet. Like, that's not. It's like, it's a lot more than that. But I think to simplify it, to me it is like how like central this kind of character of Superman is to the person, and how, like, ultimately in his heart he's the same kind of he is still Superman no matter what. But it's just how the world around him can affect what being Superman means to, depending on, like, the country that he lives in, its social and economic status, how that changes history. But the core of him, the thing that makes him is still him. He's still Superman. And the world changes a lot. It changes the people that like Lex Luthor is still Lex Luthor in this. But he's also super different because he no longer he's American in this. It's not a Russian Lex Luthor. It's an American Lex Luthor who now has to deal with a rival that is not directly American. He is Soviet. How does that change their relationship? And although that there is this kind of one-upsmanship antagonism, Lex develops in a completely different way because they aren't sharing the same, like,
rivalry,
playground, basically. Mm-hmm. And the last issue is amazing. It gets into this, like, completely absurd territory. It's great. Yeah. It's a great comic, and the Superman is awesome. He becomes like a dictator, but a dictator for the goal of, like, making sure everybody is doing okay. But because of that, he also like because of the brutality of the regime that he grew up in, he sets up this very like this kind of utterly controlling state.
Communism for all.
Yeah, exactly.
Backed by Superman.
Yeah. But because of that, the United States is no longer a world superpower. It's like it's this much weaker force because it doesn't have Superman backing it up. It's great.
Well,
Of all the Superman stories where he lands somewhere random and it's a different kind of variant, this one, Red Sun, is definitely the best by far.
Oh yeah,
because all those other ones are goofy, and this one actually takes the political implications seriously.
Yeah,
asks the question of nature versus nurture. Like if he's not raised by the Kents and he's raised by Ukrainian farmers in a different socio-political space, what actually happens to him? And it follows through those conclusions in as methodical a way as you can. And generally I think it's Mark Miller who wrote it, just generally an awesome comic.
Yeah. And Batman's there and Wonder Woman, and the ending is a complete mindfuck and is great. I love it.
Don't spoil it if people are interested in it.
I'm not going to spoil it.
I want to spoil it so bad because it is so crazy.
It's like, fuck, it makes sense.
Evan, I'm going to throw a question to you that might be a little tough just off the cuff. But if you had to write an essay in your book about Red Sun Superman, like what do you think would be some of the topics that might be worth like talking about or covering? Because clearly you're familiar with the character, which is great. And he's definitely a fascinating sort of take on Superman. I think definitely the idea that like they took this version seriously, whereas several, including one I'm about to talk about, are not quite so serious.
All the other ones we're going to talk about are not so serious.
Yes. This is maybe the most serious one right off the top.
I have one that tried to do something serious but did it horribly. Anyway, just throwing that out there.
So basically, I mean, in the book, I have an essay on Superman, and in it, what I try to describe is what I see as the best part of the character. And it's called Superman is Clark Kent. And the argument is essentially that Clark Kent is the core of the Superman character. And stories that don't pay any attention to him or devote any time to that side of the dichotomy tend to be flat and forgettable. And they're, it's essentially a refutation of the famous speech at the end of Kill Bill Volume 2, where Bill says that Clark Kent is Superman's critique on the human race. Like he's a bumbling idiot guy, and that's how this alien super god sees us. And he is essentially making a comment on what he thinks humanity is like. I'm arguing that the opposite is actually true. The best Superman stories are the ones that dig into the Clark side of the character, because the big criticism of Superman, and it's something all these wacky variants we're going to talk about tries to address in probably not the best way, is that he's too perfect. He's too powerful. He doesn't have enough weaknesses. In fact, the weakness that he does have is this like externalized vulnerability, which is not interesting at all. Kryptonite.
Yeah.
And what makes the character interesting, despite that, is that there are all these levels of experience that are not influenced by physical power. And so a great Superman story should turn not on him punching somebody harder, even though that we want to see that should be in here, but psychological issues, emotional issues, and political issues, which is what makes Red Sun so great. He is faced in Red Sun, because he decides to become like the leader of the Soviet Union after being reluctant to do that, is organizing a society and politically, being the strongest person in the universe is only going to help with that so much. You can set up a society in which you're ruling with an iron fist, which he does.
It's hard to punch opinions.
You're going to deal with all kinds of dissent, and the political questions in our universe, in our world, are cannot be solved with physical fight alone. And I've just generally been disappointed throughout like the decades that we haven't seen a lot of Superman stories that have focused on the things that physical might can't do. Red Sun is one of those stories, which is why it's one of my favorite one shots of Superman.
I also think that like it's sort of a condemnation of like our. I don't want to get too broad, but I've thought about this, like kind of a condemnation of like our society and culture, or at least how we perceive those things. That like a character that is good cannot be interesting. That you need to like stack something onto like, well, Superman is a good guy. He's an inherently good person. We have to stack something onto that in order to make it interesting, rather than that on its own being interesting. That we have, you know, there's so many cynical takes of Superman, and it's kind of understandable. It's easy to be cynical these days, and certainly not that like you can't have an interesting cynical take on Superman. There's plenty, but I just miss like a kind of a Christopher Reeves-esque Superman. What does a person that is like an absolute good mean in our world today?
Well, Christopher Reeve is the perfect example, because the beauty of Superman 78 is Christopher Reeve's portrayal of Clark.
Absolutely.
Like he
the
does
kind of
Clark.
bumbling, nervous guy that's like, I'm trying to fit in, but I don't quite know. Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like he's playing a character as Clark. Like he's navigating a complicated world of social interaction that he doesn't really quite get. And the tagline for 78 was, "You'll believe a man can fly." What Christopher Reeve did was make you believe that this larger than life icon was a man. And that is why that movie is so successful, despite the wacky turns that come in the the sequels to it. But yeah, I love Christopher Reeve as Clark and Superman.
That's awesome. So
I really like that take on the movie. The inversion of, or not the inversion of, but the focusing not on the fly, but the man part of that tagline.
That's really cool.
That's really cool. It makes a lot of sense.
I know you were about to go next, but I have like a perfect stair step one to then lead into you.
Sure. We'll start with you and then go to me.
Okay, great. Because you're talking about Red Sun and like what a good job it did, like, you know, tackling these issues and going through all this stuff. And then we have a Superman comic that I had never read, but I've known of its existence, and the panels are always really funny whenever I saw them. So I read it today, and it's bad. It's really bad. But that's At Earth's End.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with this.
Which I have not read it. I've seen images, those classic images.
Did you see any? I was slacking Liam today about like the stuff that I was coming across in this comic.
You sent me a message saying, "Holy hell, this comic is bad."
So basically, it's 100 years in the future, and like society has crumbled, post-apocalyptic scenario. So Superman has been weakened, and he's hanging out in Sky City with this like cyber android man named Ben something. And he's like, Superman's trying to just like chill up in the sun for a while to regain some of his powers, but he can't quite get there. He's only at half power, right? And essentially the like cybernetic super beings are like, we have to nuke Gotham City. And Superman's like, what? They're just like, come on, we got to just like clean slate this thing and then let humanity like rise up again, right?
Which is never resolved in the story, by the way.
It's not.
Never resolved.
I think they implied it with the last panel. I'll talk about that because this one I'll spoil for you guys when we get there because you're not. Don't worry, you don't have to read this.
Don't read this.
But basically, Superman gets really pissed off at this dude because he's like, no, like they're friends, and from like within like 3 panels, they go from being friends to Superman like ripping out some of his like guts.
Whoa!
And then because he basically is just like, no, like we're programmed to like restart humanity. Like we need to like clean slate Gotham. And then humanity will rise up or whatever. And Superman's like, no, that's a good place to be or whatever. There's people, you can't just kill them. So he flies down to Gotham City to see if he could like save or see what's going on with this like post-apocalyptic wasteland. But the whole thing too is like, it's all about technology and specifically weapons. Weapons rule. They're trying to tell this story about how it's so weird about basically like weapons and guns specifically are like the supreme power. Superman, you're obsolete because we have so much technology and guns, right?
Isn't the point that bullets bounce off of him? Isn't that the whole
Well,
point?
again, so that's the thing. They made him a weakened Superman. But there's a panel where they say specifically, he's like, I'm only at half strength. And let's be real here. Superman at half strength would still just like decimate everyone.
I love half strength because it actually really doesn't matter if you're as strong as Superman. Like there's like half, okay, divide by, I can punch like a planet apart. I can punch half a planet apart. Like fuck off.
Right. But also there is no full strength. Like the variation in full strength Superman is huge.
Exactly. And so what happens is he goes down, he meets these biker kids, like because everybody's supposed to be mutated, but apparently there was like the people that hid in the bunker when the apocalypse was happening. They had kids. The kids escaped, but the adults didn't. And the kids formed these biker gangs. And they like know about Batman and shit, even though it's 100 years later and they're children. And so the whole story about like Superman having to be like, oh, I'm half my power. I'm not up to the task. So he'll like fight things and he'll get messed up. And so then when he realizes what he has to do is use guns. So Brian, if you could pull up,
not just any gun, not just.
No, I'll get to that one yet. Hold on, Ursen gun one. Go Ursen gun one. So this is when he compromises. A kid tosses him a gun because this giant thing was like basically like killing the kid's parents or like mutating them, and then they wanted to like capture Superman and take his cells. And so he goes, "Thanks, guy!" And the kid throws him a gun, and then Superman just caps this robot, right?
Is this an attempt to like make Cable-like character?
Okay, yeah. Oh, I guess like yeah. So like. He's got the old white hair, but he uses this gun at first, but then he like kind of tosses it, like I needed to use it in the moment. I'm not gonna use this crazy gun, which I'll show you in a second. And he's just like no. So here's the other thing too. Like I thought this was gonna be a story about like how these like beings were programmed to like restart humanity, how they're gonna like come to grips with like there are parts of humanity that are like worth saving, like these children and blah blah blah. Like actually tell a compelling story. Nope. They throw a completely different subplot in, and the kids are like, the DNA dictators are like messing with our parents. And you're like, what? What the hell are the DNA dictators? Brian, will you put up Earth's End Hitlers?
Who are those DNA dictators, Chad?
They happen to be not one, but two Hitlers.
Wait,
twins. Twin Hitlers. Twin Hitlers.
They were
I was
cloned.
not expecting that.
They were cloned. And this comes out of nowhere, by the way. Like, it's like the panel before this is like some of the mutants had Nazi gear, and you're like, well, of course they're going to do the Nazi thing. And then suddenly there's like two Hitlers. And they were both cloned from like the hair of Adolf, but also everyone who's cloned in this storytelling has memories. And like, at one point, Superman was attacked by these bat people and he was like, why do their faces look like Bruce Wayne? And it's because double Hitlers had dug up Bruce's body. Well, they got his coffin, and they spliced Bruce's DNA with an actual bat to create bat creatures that just like fly around and plague like humanity. Bats. Yeah, we already have that. It's man bat, right? And also, kind of sound like you could have taken any human. They showed they have like all these parents that they've been doing testing on. You didn't have to get Bruce Wayne's DNA. He's not actually a bat.
Dude, the parents part is dark.
Oh, it's really dark. Yeah, they like immediately try and kill the kids for like leaving them, but then like Superman immediately dismisses it as like, they're not your parents anymore, kid. They're just a husk. So he first tries to go and confront them without using this huge effing gun that Bruce Wayne, and it's like, this is how bad this comic is written. There's a plaque for this gun, and it's called, oh god, hold on, let me look at it.
DNA Polyace is asking, but how many Hitlers were in Red Sun? Is this how we're gonna rank the Superman?
We're not ranking comics by amount of Hitlers, okay? I don't think we. No, I'm not going there. Don't drop that bait in front of me to make Hitler jokes. No. So there's this huge gun that like it was in the Batcave. By the way, the reason they found where the parents are being experimented on, it's like in the tunnels that are down through the Batcave after you walk for like hours.
It's 30 miles into the Batcave, they say.
And there's a plaque. This thing is called like the Eliminator, or what is it called? I'm blanking on it, but It's the craziest gun you've ever seen, and I'll pull up a panel to show you in a second. But it literally says, the plaque says the name of the gun, and it's like,
it's the expunger.
The expunger. Bruce Wayne confiscated this gun on a secret mission, his final mission right before his death. And I'm like, you've already made so many jumps in this comic. You didn't have to explain why Bruce Wayne has a humongous gun in the Batcave, but thanks. Like,
there's a million
so
things
much
in the Batcave.
There's a giant penny. There's a dinosaur.
Yeah, they're all
there's a T-Rex.
trophies.
Yeah. So now Superman has lost most of his power from like confronting.
Wait. The second part of that quote, I have it here, is what is it? These were Bruce Wayne's last words, which is on the plaque. One day the world will be free of guns, or the world will be no more. So that's the message they're trying to bring to this.
Yeah.
So this is.
But
this
they just had
okay.
But so they just had Superman use a gun. And so now he's like, no, children, I will not take the humongous gun that only I could wield, and I'll go fight double Hitlers. And then he can't do it because he lost too much of his powers. So then they let him leave, and so then they go back, and he gets, they kill some of the kids too. It's pretty dark. He's like, he tells the other children, he's like, gather the bodies and we'll go back to the Batcave, which he says in front of double Hitler. And so then they go back, and he grabs the gun. Will you bring up Earth End Gun 3, Brian? So this is the gun.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes.
And that's just
curse you to
miniguns.
hell as he just unloads. He mows down like a whole bunch of the minions in a previous panel. He just blows double Hitlers apart. And then also they had a cloned Bruce Wayne where they put like a copy of his memories inside a mutant. It was weird, and it literally lasted like 2 panels before Superman ripped his stomach out again.
This is where Tarantino got the idea for Inglourious Bastards. That
right.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
So he uses this whole like crazy gun, but while it's happening, he's like just taking fire, and he's like, I didn't stay out in the sun enough. It would have taken another year, and now I can feel all of the bullets penetrating my vital organs. But then he proceeds to like kill everybody, like kill all the bad guys. Then he just like throws Bruce's coffin, which again, if you wanted to pull that up, it's in that panel. It's like shaped like a bat. It's
like a sarcophagus.
Yes, exactly. It's like a sarcophagus. You look at it. That's at the bottom left there. And so he throws it on his back, and then they just like they go out and leave. And then now I'm like, okay, here's what's gonna happen. People from upon high, they're gonna come down, and they're gonna see that the kids are not mutants, and there's still like humanity restarting here. And they're going to learn a lesson, and then we're going to get the message out, and we're going to kind of resolve this in an okay way. He comes down, and then Superman's building a pyre for Batman, and then Superman just tells them all, hey, I'm going to die. Like, there's so many bullets in me, I'm dying. So I'm going to go into the pyre with Bruce Wayne.
Burn with my lover, just like
Which
Alexander
He just
the Great.
walks into the
leads
fire.
to one of the
No,
most
not just like
horrific
Alexander.
comic panels. If you want to pull up Earth's End Fire,
Wait.
Brian.
I thought you said he was going to solve the. What was
hold
it?
on.
The weapon crisis in Gotham or whatever it was?
There's one line that's going to happen in a second.
Okay.
So Brian, can you pull up the? Yeah. So he walks into the fire.
Yeah, that's the end. That's the end of Superman right there.
Yeah, he just straight walks in there and burns to death very casually. Like he's just standing there, still holding Bruce's
If it
corpse.
wasn't for guns, Superman would still be alive.
and this is it. So how it is resolved?
I hate these stupid
is
guns.
This child. Yeah, I hate these stupid guns. If it wasn't for guns, Superman would still be alive, and the kid throws the gun into the fire, and that's how they resolve it. That's how we learned the lesson. It was that
Superman's death inspires the world to get rid of guns.
but
the implication.
he used guns to solve all of his problems.
Yeah,
But do
But
they
because-
the
nuke?
most effective.
Do they nuke?
Did they nuke Gotham?
Do they ever decide not to nuke it?
So the Ben dude, the like robot guys, and they come down and they're like, that's who Superman was talking to. He's like, I'm dying, and they were basically like, Superman, I can just give you cybernetics and heal you, you'll be fine. And he's just like, no, it's my time or whatever, and then sacrifices himself in the fire. And then he was like, I trust you to raise these children. And so it's basically implied that they're no longer going to nuke Gotham, and instead this like cybernetic guy who was very cool with nuking all of Gotham is now going to raise these pack of motorcycle driving feral children to restart humanity.
Well, it sounds like the intention was Superman is a martyr to inspire a new tomorrow, right?
But it's just done so badly.
Superman 4 Quest for Peace, kind of. Throwing all the nukes into the sun, throw all those guns into the fire. Sounds terrible, though.
I feel like
it did not accomplish what it was
I feel like
trying
this
to do.
comic started. It's one of those things where you have the name first, and then you go backwards, right? It's like somebody was like, I want to see Superman with a huge fucking gun. Yes. Now let's write a story around
it. That image is what they
let's do
first
Dark
came
Knight
up with.
Returns. Sure. It sounds like Dark Knight Returns, but Superman. Like that's
kind
like,
of
and
yeah.
shittier.
Oh, way shittier.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
But here's my hot take on this, which is that, and we were talking about this actually before we started recording. This would be an amazing, like, Love, Death, and Robots style short animation.
Absolutely.
And you have to take all the like messaging out of it because the messaging is just completely incomprehensible. But like the man bats, the twin Hitlers,
that's awesome.
Cool, if you the going deep into the caves of Batman, Batman's lair. If you did they do bring back a clone version of Batman, which actually looks pretty kind of cool. If you just did it for pure action with the gun and everything, it would be so awesome as a short film.
Oh yeah, I can absolutely agree with you there. But also, it's like this is one thing I was thinking about when you were talking about like any Superman story without Clark Kent sucks, and I was just like, yeah. Well, I was thinking like, yeah, there's no Clark Kent in this, and it's just weird messaging, and it's just all over the place. It feels like it was written in a day.
Well, I have a story that I'd like to talk about that does not have Clark Kent that I think is pretty awesome. But before I get to that, Chad,
instead of taking off glasses, I should put some on.
Yeah, exactly.
You're damn right. That's all you get real quick, even though they look really cool, because I don't know what's on my screen and I don't want you to be seeing it. All right. It's not something bad.
Isn't it you I saw you from
It's me, but I have a second monitor, and sometimes there's Death Battle spoilers on that, so we're not going to do that.
Or other things, Chad.
No, this episode is sponsored by Shady Rays. I'm looking at Shady Rays, Liam, and you should be too. You know why? Because Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. These durable frames are extremely clear. Okay, polarized lenses are perfect for your outdoor adventures. Real talk, I'm just going to pause the read that I have here and tell you, like, I love these sunglasses. I have been wearing them everywhere. There is, like, I don't know what sorcery they do to the lenses, but I pull it on and I feel like I'm seeing in like HDR. Like I'm seeing clearer, but then also protected. It's amazing. I absolutely love them. And they look really cool. In fact, my friend tried to steal them from me this weekend. But that's not all. Every pair is backed by their lost and broken replacement deal. Basically, if you lose or break a pair, even on day one, they'll send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. Maybe I should have let my friends steal them. And then I could have... No, I don't think it'll work like that. I'm not going to put that messaging out there. Also, here's the other really cool thing. They provide 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every order and have donated over 20 million meals to date. So you can look good in your shades and do some good for others too. Exclusively for you, our viewers and listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com, use code DBC for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by 200,000 people. That's code DBC at shadyrays.com, 50% off. I promise you, these are like, I absolutely love these sunglasses. If you guys are looking for new sunglasses, you need to go do that and get 50% off.
All right. Thanks for sponsoring us, Shady Rays. So we have talked about Superman landing in a different place. We have talked about Superman in the future. But what if Superman landed in a different place in the far distant past? Far distant past.
Okay.
Brian, can you bring up Ancient One? This is Superman.
Wow.
Of the Jurassic League. And I love this story so much.
No words.
We can bring up Ancient 2 just to show the Jurassic League. Basically, the idea, it's exactly what you think it is. The Justice League as dinosaurs. Batman is an Allosaurus, Wonder Woman is a Triceratops, and Superman is an Apatosaurus, I believe. Supersaur. But unlike the others, who are just dinosaurs from Earth who have wearing clothes for some reason, Supersaur is still an alien who crashes onto Earth and is raised by cavemen, who exist with dinosaurs in this iteration. And that's it. Like that, you basically know everything you need to know.
Apom and Mimikyu goes, I already love this.
Yeah. Well, you could go ahead and bring up Ancient 3. So there's this distinct difference between him and the rest of the dinosaurs in that he has a relationship with both dinosaurs and humans. Both of them speak different languages, so he acts as a sort of emissary between the two. And it becomes a story of like bettering the world for these soft, fleshy people that the other dinosaurs don't really care about. Like Batman's not going to kill humans, but he doesn't really give a shit about them. And Superman does, because he's basically the first dinosaur to be raised with humans. Batman eventually gets Robin, who is a cave kid,
Of course.
but he can't understand him because he doesn't speak human. But Supersaur does, so he's able to translate for him. It is such a joy. The art is amazing. The story is very simple, but it's supposed to be, right? Like, it's just dinosaur superheroes punching dinosaur villains. There's Joker is that. What's that dinosaur that spits the acid in Jurassic Park? Joker's that one. Spitosaur.
Dilophosaurus.
Dilophosaurus. Yes.
Yeah.
Because he's got, he's got the flower that spits acid, right? So they use that one because it's got sort of the flower sort of like frill, right?
Yeah.
There's some clever, name puns and whatnot throughout it, and it's just the majority of the comics run is just dinosaurs punching dinosaurs. Like
Lily Mandragon wants
really
to know
trying to do
if Flash is a Velociraptor.
I believe he is, and I believe he's called the Slash. I think that's
cool.
What it is.
Sick.
Yes,
I know there's also a reverse Slash.
Oh, they brought the whole crew.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of characters. There's a Green Lantern as well. Like, it's pretty good. I mean, there's really nothing much else to say about it other than just go check it out. It's a fun read. It's really fun. It looks great. Like, the art is really cool. I think it's a 6-issue run and they're 4 issues in. So it's not going to be like
it's still going. Long. It's ongoing.
Yeah, I think it's still going.
Oh.
So this is a current thing, unless I mean, as far as I'm aware, there are 4 issues in. They might be 5 or so. But yeah, definitely check it out. It's called Jurassic League, and it is ridiculous.
Batman looks way cooler than everybody else.
I mean,
he's like the Rex, right?
Yeah.
He's an Allosaurus. Yeah.
Yes.
Look at that. Like, Wonder Woman looks pretty cool. Superman just looks real dumb, and then Batman is like gonna f some stuff up.
All of them are wearing clothes, but I just realized this today. Supersaur is not
naked.
Oh, he sure
what
is.
Is that? What is that on his skin?
Yeah, his S and his boots are just part of his skin.
No, he just has really bad circulation. So like,
it's very
clearly not in his
looking.
arms. Like, you saw the veins. Like, all of that blood's going to the arms, but not so much to the feet.
No, the calves as well.
Like that?
Yeah.
It is
paint on clothes. That's paint on clothes right there.
Yeah,
but only
he's
the
getting
feet
airbrushed.
and the chest.
That burning sensation means it's working.
I want to talk about, and this might not seem like it's introducing a Superman, but he is indeed a Superman. This is one of the greatest villains in all of DC Comics. Perhaps the greatest. One of the foulest, most wretchedly evil characters ever created. Brian, can you bring up image 1? Silver Age comic book cover Superman.
He's so bad. It's so bad. Look at this. Sorry,
Superman
Jimmy.
without context. This Superman is the biggest piece of shit. And to explain, in the comics, there's always some reason to explain why he's actually being a good guy. Sometimes it's extremely flimsy, but there's always some explanation. He's not literally evil in the comics. I'm talking about the comic covers themselves specifically. Can you bring up image 2, Brian?
He's so...
Get fucked, Lois.
Well, so long.
For our
So
audio
long.
listeners, Liam, for our audio listeners, please describe what we're looking at.
We are looking at Lois Lane being tied to the front of a truck that is going off a cliff, and Superman hopping jauntily out of the window.
He appeared to have been driving the truck.
You wanted to be with me to the end, Lois? This is it. So long. And he hops out, and he's giving her a little wave, and she's about to fucking die. This one is a personal favorite of mine. Could you bring up image 3, Brian? Burning Batman.
I remember this one. I remember this comic.
You wanted proof Batman is evil? His fellow demons have turned against him. They lit this fire to execute him. You're lying, Superman. I'm innocent.
This one was all a ploy to then he sneaks Batman out, but he God, it's been so long since I read that comic, but basically so people find Batman and then they're like, it's a demon or whatever, right? And they're like, we have to kill him, and Superman's like, yes, we have to kill him, I'll burn him, and then he sneaks him out, and they're like, thanks, Superman.
The way things worked back then, there was a period of time where they would come up with the comic book covers first. They would develop the comic book cover and then give it to the writers and be like, come up with something that fits this. And they'd have to just make it work. Sometimes it worked out. Okay, I could buy some weird people out in the middle of nowhere thinking Batman's a demon. Okay. But the first one you showed, if you bring that one up one more time, image 1, of Jimmy Olsen and Aquaman dying in a desert and Superman holding him
up fuckers
withholding the water. Yeah, withholding the water.
Stop this crazy test. Let us share that water or we die. Sorry, Jimmy. The ground rules allow only one survivor, you or Aquaman.
I believe the story they came up with was Jimmy Olsen gets superpowers or gets Aquaman's superpowers. And so Superman is trying to teach him the responsibilities of being king of the sea, why he probably doesn't want to be Aquaman. But it ends up being this whole sequence of events where Jimmy thinks he kills Aquaman, and then he's stuck in the desert, and Superman gives him the water, and he's like, well, okay, Jimmy, you're now king of the sea because Aquaman's dead, so go do your job. And he's like, I don't want to be king of the sea. That's the idea they came up with for that cover, which is, it is bonkers. So even though he's evil on the cover, there's some bizarre shit even in the stories.
You know what I'm realizing is that this is the original clickbait right here. This is pure clickbait. The worst kind of YouTube clickbait that we all hate. This is that.
And it's not just it's not
new
just
fun challenge for your next book. Design the cover first. And then
That's actually really fun because there is a common sort of YouTube strategy.
Yes.
That
meeting available now on Amazon.
There is sort of common YouTube strategy that some people say is develop the thumbnail first. Whether or not that works for your content, depends. But that sounds sort of similar to what's going on here. Did you bring any other covers, Liam?
Yes, I did. Image 5, Brian. Sometimes he's just petty. He's just rude and mean. Jimmy, this gift you got me for Father's Day makes me sorry I ever adopted you as my son. I'll have to destroy it to teach you a lesson.
Holy shit,
Superman,
man.
I mean, Dad, what did I do wrong?
This is my favorite one out of all of these. This is absolutely my favorite one. It is the cruelest, heartbreaking shit.
From Jimmy.
Can you bring up image 4, Brian? This one is specifically, I saw this and I was like, this can be a little history lesson. Please, Superman, my oil well's on fire and you're the only one who could save it. For $5,000 cash in advance.
Smart. Get it up front. Get it up
front. An ancient Roman general called Crassus, who headed one of the earliest fire departments in history. But when building a home would be on fire, his fire brigade would come, but he wouldn't put the fire out until they agreed to sell it to him. So
what is that way? What are you talking about?
Genius.
I'm explaining there's a history reference here.
You think this is specifically referencing that?
No, not at all. It's an interesting connection.
It's classic supply and demand and opportunity cost. He's like,
he was one of the triumvirate alongside Julius Caesar and Pompey, and he died in Parthia.
Okay.
Unlike
I do want to make sure we touch on a couple others before we get to the end of the show. But First one I want to touch on is let's move away from the DC universe for just a little bit. I'd like to talk about a little known Japanese author that some of you may have heard of. His name is Akira Toriyama. He created a character that's largely inspired by Superman, an alien from another world landing on Earth, serves as a protector of Earth. They have incredible powers of super strength and flight, and he does not necessarily go by his original given name, but a name he has chosen for himself on Earth. And I am, of course, talking about Sour Man.
Suppa Man.
Sour Man is a Superman from he's appeared in a couple of Toriyama's works. Mostly he's like a recurring character in Dr. Slump, who he claims to be a superhero, but more often than not he like betrays everyone and tries to take over the world. And afterwards like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. He eats sour plums, hence his name. That's basically it.
Dude, you know that guy's on so many coffee billboards in Dragon Ball's Japan.
Yeah.
He can fly and he has super strength, but nowhere near the strength of like any of the other characters in any of the even in Dr. Slump. There's a scene, his like only main scene in Dragon Ball is when he meets General Blue. He shows up and Blue is like part of the Red Ribbon Army going to conquer the world. So he's like, or actually I think the only problem is that Blue's just in his way. He's like on his way to work or whatever. And he's like, hey, you get out of the way. And Blue's like, no, I'm doing things. So Sour Man in his, he's not named Clark Kent. What is his name again?
It's Kuraku.
It's reversed, I think. I think it's like
it's something else.
Kento
something.
Yeah.
There just happens to be a phone booth nearby. So he jumps into the phone booth, jumps out, and he's in his Sour Man outfit. And he's like, haha, I'm a superhero. And then there's like a pile of like metal plates, and he punches them, breaks one of them. He's like, beat that. Blue's like, okay. And so he just walks over to the phone booth, bear hugs it, and crushes it. And Sour Man's like, oh, okay. My mistake. You can go on. And then we never see him again. That's his story.
The next we need the next Dragon Ball movie to just be like Sour Man needs to play a prime part in it.
But if Sour Man eats sour plums, and that's his thing, there is another Superman that I really wanted to make sure we covered. I don't know anything about this one. Oh, please, Liam, you wanted to talk about this.
Yeah. We have to get this one in.
Milkman Man.
Bring up image 6, Brian.
Milkman Man.
This is
what is this?
Without exaggeration, the most powerful iteration of Superman. This is not one of those things where I go, just kidding. This is a Superman created by Retcon Corporation, which exists outside of the DC universe, not just the single universe, like all of it, all of creation. It exists like beyond the source wall. Literally, when it's shown, it's a white void because it's the white page of the comic book paper. It is outside of everything, like beyond. It is on a higher plane of existence than any fucking character you can imagine. Well, not any character, but almost all of them. I would say like 99.99999% of them. It is insane. And they specifically were like, we want to sell. Retcon Corporation is a group that controls the continuity of DC, and they wanted to sell DC because I forget why. I forget the context exactly, but this is part of like this
is just above part of everything else.
This is the part of the Doom Patrol, one of the more recent Doom Patrol runs, and they wanted to sell DC Comics, so they needed to wanted to create a version of Superman that was like let me just explain visually. Brian, can you bring up image 7?
It's so hard to explain even when you read it.
Look at the detail on the mustache and the gums. Like
they
they
took the archetype of Superman, which is like literally like the essence of Superman's character. Which is a direct like descendant of the god of superheroes. He is like, so he's basically the most superhero-iest of all superheroes. They took his archetype, which can't be changed, but it could be copied. And they used their continuity, like they used their continuity altering milk to create Milkman Man, but specifically Milkman Man.
Continuity altering.
I'm sorry, what?
Phrase. Yeah.
We went from existential god of heroes, creating the ultimate hero from the essence of Superman 2. They use their reality warping milk.
This is called Milk Wars. This is
continuity altering milk.
And it's called Milk Wars?
Milk Wars, exactly. And Superman, this version of Superman was born from the kiss of two characters, Casey Brink and Terry Nunn. Two characters who don't exist.
but wait. It's so much crazier than that.
Yeah.
Because
give the full.
Who is Casey Brink? Let's dive into that for a second.
Yeah, please.
Who was she created by? And I'm happy to tell you that the creator of Casey Brink is a sentient street. Street.
Yeah.
Danny the street.
Danny the street.
The street. You can
how high were they when they wrote
Doom
this?
Patrol. That's very Doom Patrol.
They can only he can only communicate through billboards and things, and on his street there is a comic book store. And one of the characters he created, who is fictional, is Casey Brink, and then later he finds out he has the ability to bring her to life.
So Casey Brink,
the lineage of Milkman Man is truly the craziest thing that's ever been written.
So why is Milkman Man the most powerful Superman?
He exists, and they even say this in the comic, beyond, like, and Retcon Corporation in general exists beyond, like, characters like Darkseid, beyond Barbados. This is literally, he is as meta as you can get. He's literally, like, you know how Thought Robot Superman is essentially the essence of Superman, the story of Superman that, like, no matter what, good will always triumph? That's what Milkman Man is, except his continuity has been altered by the infusion of the milk. So he's basically the Thought Robot with milk that can alter continuity.
Every time you say milk, it's like the period to a serious point that I don't see coming. I never see it coming.
This is also a pitch for having Doom Patrol on Death Battle at some point. This is my Doom Patrol on Death Battle pitch, because holy shit, would it be fun to talk about? But yeah, he is like as close to fucking unbeatable as possible, because he's just like he's the archetype of Superman. He is the story of Superman. He is like Superman incarnate. The concept. He's not like a lower dimensional like he's just, it's insane. It's fucking.
But he also doesn't he also murder people too?
He also, he image 8, Brian.
He's got that right.
He's essentially sent into reality to force people to consume the milk in order to change DC Comics into something that is more palatable, that can be sold to people.
Yeah, make sure we get a couple good mouth panels in there.
Yeah.
Oh, is he squeezing her mouth open to force the milk down?
Yes. Yeah.
So the milk,
and it affects the entire Justice League, and the Doom Patrol has to fight the affected Justice League. They're like the League of Rhode Island, the Community League of Rhode Island, like something like that.
Is this like some kind of commentary on like producers or something like overhead, like changing the story to be more marketable or something like that?
Community
Is that the idea
League
here?
of Rhode Island. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Oh my god!
The meta commentary of this is so convoluted that it's a shame, because it gets too complicated, I think. Like I want to love it so much, but it is truly incomprehensible at times. Truly.
It's
like, okay, we're not gonna have time for it, but one of the things I was looking into is Prime 1 Million. And
we'll talk about that in the post show, Chad. That and the Thought Robot, I think we can talk about. Okay, of the ones that we have talked about so far, we have 5.
Are we gonna vote?
Well, technically, we have 6. I'm gonna remove Sour Man. Yeah, we'll have the community vote on which one's just their favorite. So I'm gonna say we've got Earth's End, Silver Age covers, Red Sun, Milkman Man, and Super Sore. I'm gonna remove Red Sun because the others are just ridiculous. Red Sun,
and that one's very good in series.
Red Sun is good. It is above like it is too good for this poll.
Yeah. I don't want people to vote against Red Sun Superman.
Yeah. So Red Sun Superman is a legitimately good story. Like that is, if you are interested in Superman even a little bit, or you have doubts about whether or not you like Superman, you should read Red Sun. We're going to bring up a poll between Earth's End, the Silver Age covers, the Milkman Man, and Super Sore to see which one of those four you guys think is your favorite. Just favorite. In the meantime, I want to talk about our other sponsor for this week's episode, which is
our friends podcast.
Shout out. Yeah, our friends podcast, 30 Morbid Minutes and the Stinky Dragon. So what are those? 30 Morbid Minutes is a podcast by Elise Willems and Jessica Vasami, and they basically just talk about creepy stuff. Basically, like the way they kind of put it is, if you've ever found yourself awake in the middle of the night reading real life stories that makes your skin crawl, or you like creepy histories behind like Victorian nursery rhymes, you should check this podcast out because it really dives into some of the darker, macabre, or morbid, or creepy stories sourced straight from history and headlines of today. Really paranormal stuff, right? And there's some really fun,
sweetest women in the world. They are both so incredibly nice. That's what I love about this show. It's like two very, very nice people talking about very dark things.
Yeah, these two, you would not expect it if you just met them for the first time, for sure. So 30 Morbid Minutes, you can subscribe to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you find podcasts. But you can also find there the Stinky Dragon, which is a D&D podcast starring Rooster Teeth's very own Barbara Dunkelman, Blaine Gibson, John Reisinger, and Gus Cirillo as the Dungeon Master. Also, Chris Damaris is on it. He's the voice of Dummy in Death Battle. And they get into some crazy shenanigans. So you should definitely check that out as well. You can listen to Tales of the Stinky Dragon wherever you get your podcasts. Okay.
And I'm going to give you just a quick little secret. They've got some cool stuff they're working on for that coming up. I get to hear about it in meetings.
Yeah, that's Tales from the Stinky Dragon. All right, so we got some Supermen to talk about. All right, so let's go ahead and well, of those four, what do you guys think? What would you vote for as your favorite of these four?
I mean,
milk.
In
Milk.
what? In
one word. In one word.
Milk.
Drink the milk.
Got milk? You do now.
I have to know. Does he say "got milk" at any point? Like,
he says.
I don't think he can.
No, his catchphrase is
trademarked?
"It's my pleasure," as he forces the milk down your throat.
Oh, that's even creepier, dude.
It is worse. It's a lot.
I mean, isn't that the point? That's the point,
right?
right?
It is the point. Oh,
so is he like
people
the
into these
villain?
horrible, like, yeah, he's kind of a villain, but then he realizes that he's been retconned, he like goes like crazy and like freaks out and has like an existential crisis. And then he disappears, and we're not sure what happens exactly to him because retcon decides to like do the nuclear option and destroy all of reality.
Wait, he adjusts his own retcon? I mean, if he's as powerful as the Thought Robot, he could totally do that.
and Retcon Corporation retcons all of reality, deletes all of it, and then Flex Mentalo uses inflation intensity to then like reboot all of continuity and reset everything back to normal. And then Elasti-Woman essentially grows out of reality in order to escape the retcon and re-enters reality through the comic.
All right.
Yeah. Of course.
This
Wonderful.
is getting really out there. I have no idea what's going on. So let's go ahead and wrap up this poll.
Milk.
Let's just go ahead and wrap up this poll.
Chant milk.
Quick shout out to Silver Age covers, though.
That's
my
choice.
The funniest.
That's my choice because they're just so
going
cool.
Douchebag.
So let's go ahead and wrap up the
weirdest
poll
one,
and
in my
see
opinion.
which
Well-
one you guys said is the best. And Milkman Man wins pretty handily with
Oh, yeah.
51%.
Milk.
All right.
Milk.
I'd say
Okay,
it's like so Milkman Man is just the weirdest, right? The alt cover the cover Superman, just the meanest. I'd say Earth's End is definitely the furthest departure of what Superman should ever be.
Weirdly, the most Superman one of all 4 of these is the dinosaur.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's going to do it for today's show. Evan, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a blast. Again, where can everybody find your book?
You can find it wherever good books are sold, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or your local bookseller. Escape into Meaning, available now.
As you guys can tell from his participation in this podcast, this dude knows his stuff. Go support this man. Subscribe to the channel.
I'm surprised you
pick
knew
up the
about
book.
Milkman Man.
Dude, I'm real talk.
So
like this is like the nerdiest stuff in the world. And like sometimes when we have guests on, we're like, oh, do they really know what they're getting into? Dude, you can hang, man. You've been an amazing guest. So
I was like,
it's
he at least knows like what pre-crisis is, right? Yeah,
it's right there. Yeah, it's right there. It's right there in the title.
Dude, it was a
we'd
blast
love to have you on again, man. This is
guys.
great.
Yeah,
thanks.
A total blast talking to you guys.
Well, appreciate that because we are some of the nerdiest and most ridiculous people I've ever
Let's get
met.
a milk chant going in the chat.
No, we're gonna wrap up the show here.
Milk.
Be kind to others, be kind to yourself, be awesome. We'll see you next week. Go check out that book. Oh my God.
Bye.